5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language. I'm your host. My name's Kellen. Today on the show, Facebook, Twitter block Trump post that falsely claims coronavirus is less deadly than the flu. This particular article. The number Facebook won't say. TikTok's U.S. ban is on hold. What comes next? A free webinar on LinkedIn to show how you can optimize your profile. Working mom's LinkedIn profile goes viral for showing realistic work-life balance during the pandemic. And 2 million creators make six-figure incomes on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch globally. Marketing as a foreign language begins right now. All right. Facebook, Twitter block Trump post that falsely claims coronavirus is less deadly than the flu. Jessica Bertsinski with CNBC.com writes, key points here. Facebook removed a post from President Donald Trump that claimed the flu is more deadly than the coronavirus. Twitter hid the same message that was posted to Trump's Twitter account behind the label and prevented users from sharing it. And the post was up for hours before both companies took action. So, quote, as is standard with this public interest notice, engagements with the tweet will be significantly limited, according to a Twitter spokesperson. The Facebook and Twitter have removed the post. In the post, which was shared on both Facebook and Twitter, Trump said, flu season is coming up. Many people every year, sometimes over 100,000, and despite the vaccine, die from the flu. Are we going to close down our country? No, we have learned to live with it, just like we're learning to live with COVID in most populations, far less lethal. So that's what got him in hot water as of Tuesday morning. COVID has sickened more than 7.45 million, and the death toll around 200,000. Well, according to this, actually, it says 210,195 had died. According to data compiled by Johns Hopkins, an estimated 22,000 people died from the 2019 to 2020 seasonal flu. The deadliest flu since 2010 was 2017 and 2018 with an estimated 61,000 deaths. Quote, we remove incorrect information about the severity of COVID-19 and have now removed this post, a Facebook spokesperson said in a statement. So I feel like this whole back and forth between the current administration and the social media megaliths is actually really important. Given that Facebook has to remain on their toes, and having a very high-profile tweeter, you could say, is helping to do that. So in the future, I think the amount of time between misinformation and the ban of whatever that post happens to be is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So right now it's taking a few hours. It's not going to surprise me when it's going to take a few seconds in the years to come. FoxNews.com, working mom's LinkedIn profile goes viral for showing realistic work-life balance during a pandemic. Today's remote world has blurred the lines between my professional and personal selves, the mom of three said. You think? This is from Janit Setembre. This mom of three is sharing an unfiltered look at work-life balance during the pandemic. Lauren Griffiths, a human resources consultant in North Carolina, recently updated her LinkedIn profile to portray a more accurate image of herself balancing family and career in the age of virtual schooling and remote work. The picture on the left is, kind of a stereotypical professional LinkedIn headshot with a blurred background and a suit jacket. And on the right, it looks like a mom at home. Griffith said in a LinkedIn post she felt her previous profile photo in a black blazer and button-up with straight hair was not an accurate representation of how most real working moms like herself look like lately. So she updated it with a more realistic version of herself with unstyled hair a pullover and jeans. Today's remote world, this is a quote, has blurred the lines between my professional and personal selves. So I've chosen to represent that in my photo. Barely dried hair, comfy pullover, ripped jeans, slightly frazzled from having just gotten 3 kids ready for, quote, school, but smiling and ready for work, she wrote in a post she titled Why I Changed My LinkedIn Profile Pic. Griffith's new normal, like millions of Americans, motivate her to get real about expectations. So there are a few reasons why I like this. Number one is it's very authentic. It's very true. It just goes to show that we're all in this together and that things are insane. But number two, it's great marketing because she's getting picked up by major publications like this article from Fox News. She is getting a ton of play right now over a profile pic. So it just goes to show that the greatest advertisements are those that tend to stem from authenticity. So good for her. I think what she did was fantastic. ArsTechnica.com, Facebook's latest groups disaster will only make it more toxic. We covered groups in the previous episode where we chatted about Facebook's attempt to promote them. This is from Kate Cox. Every single time Facebook could improve, it doubles down on causing more harm. So she's not a big fan of Facebook. To the article, Facebook is pushing yet another set of new features and policies designed to minimize harm in the home stretch to Election Day, while also increasing community for users. But these features will do nothing to mitigate existing problems, and they will likely cause new, more widespread harms to both users and society. My assumption is that she's going to take issue with the echo chamber that is our current politics. I do want to mention all links to all articles are in the description in case you want to see the sources for these. Back to the article, the most recent issue is a frustrating set of changes to the way Facebook handles groups. Last week, Facebook announced yet another new way to, quote, help more people find and connect with communities by putting those communities in your face whenever you want to see them or not. Both the Groups tab and your individual newsfeed will promote group content from groups you are not subscribed to in the hope that you will engage with the content and with those groups. You can't, or at least I don't, blame Facebook for doing this. I believe that they have every incentive to try to keep people involved in communities. I'm sure there's ample research that suggests that people that are part of groups on Facebook tend to spend more time on the platform. Therefore, they are going to want to push that. These changes are new. Small inconveniences piled atop frustrating user experience decisions that Facebook has been making for more than a decade, according to Kate, the author of this article. But they are the latest example of how Facebook tries to shape every user's experience through black box algorithms. Yeah, she is not a fan. And how this approach harms not only individuals, but the world at large. At this point, Facebook is working so hard to ignore expert advice on how to reduce toxicity that it looks like Facebook doesn't even want to improve any meaningful way. Its leadership simply doesn't seem to care about how much the platform causes how much harm. So what do I think about this? I think that by and large, groups on Facebook are puppy group, moms at Stead Park group, soccer group, you know what I mean? Little league group. I think if you get sucked into the politics spiral, that all you can see are the politics groups, and the algorithm is going to feed into that. So personally, when I'm on Facebook, I don't see any of this stuff. That's because I don't engage with it. Facebook is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's important to remember that. Now, there, as is all things on this planet, a good side and a bad side. The good side is there are a lot of fine groups, yoga group, you know what I mean? People who love corgis. People who love petting corgis group. Totally fine. Nobody is upset with that. Now, if you have a violent group or a hate group, then yes, obviously this is going to be an issue. I wonder what Facebook is doing in regards to suppressing those groups. They have a lot of incentive to not have those groups proliferate. They are getting a lot of flack for that, as they should. And Zuckerberg has to testify constantly in front of Congress, it seems like, in order to fight against this sense that Facebook is not doing enough. But do I think that groups in and of themselves are bad? No, I do not. I really don't. So here we're talking about testifying to Congress. Here we got Facebook's first director, back to the article of monetization, Tim Kendall, testified to Congress in September that Facebook's growth was purely driven by the pursuit of that vaunted engagement metric, and I would agree with that. He compared the company to big tobacco and lamented social media's effect on society. So that is interesting. You've got the first director of monetization, Tim Kendall, saying, hey, look, this is too driven by profit. It's too much. Quote, the social media services that I and others have built over the last 15 years have served to tear people apart with alarming speed and intensity, Kendall told Congress. At the very least, we have eroded our collective understanding. At worst, I fear we are pushing ourselves to the brink of a civil war. So how alarmist is this? Do I believe that Facebook is pushing this country towards a civil war? Well, the unrest is pretty crazy. There is no denying that. And perhaps Mr. Kendall is on to something. I tend to have faith in the United States. I tend to think that we will figure it out, that we're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. We have a lot of incredible people in this country that are working very hard to make sure that we all have a chance. So that being said, when Tim Kendalls of the world, the Facebook's first director of monetization, say this, well, he clearly has access to information that I don't have access to. So I do hear him and I do understand. I also think that at times we can fall into these echo chambers. You know what I mean? So as the director of monetization, he is swimming in this world of Facebook constantly. And I think from my perspective as someone who rarely uses the platform, that I'm just not that engaged with it. So it's entirely possible that, you and your experience on Facebook is much different. I talk to folks who are like, every time I open up Facebook, I leave angry. Esther Sass writes in comments, I was an optimist also. So past tense was. So, what is going to happen, man? I think tensions are really high right now. I think people are really concerned about what's going to happen over the next couple of months. I'm definitely in a let's wait and see mode, because things are going to be very different, I would argue, in 3 to 6 months, but we shall see. The Wall Street Journal, back in May, back to the article of this year, obtained internal documentation showing that company leaders were warned about the issues in a 2018 presentation. Quote, our algorithms exploit the human brain's attraction to divisiveness. One slide read, if left unchecked, the presentation warned Facebook would feed users more and more divisive content in an effort to gain user attention and increase time on the platform. Well, how's that? Okay. So if you are way on the left and you see a right-wing piece of content that drives you crazy, it does create a biochemical reaction that your body has to deal with. And according to this article, that reaction results in spending more time, more engagement, you could say. Or the opposite, which is, doesn't matter what side, say you're super far right and you see something that aligns with your beliefs and it affirms your position. Perhaps that's what they're referring to, is if there are divisive memes that say you're right and all those people that you don't agree with are wrong. I think that is that's a strong chemical cocktail that I think we as humanity are struggling with a bit. I think before, when it was a newspaper, if you could find a newspaper that was heavily leaning to one way or the other, you would get that warm, fuzzy feeling, let's say in the morning, and go, oh yes, I'm right, they're wrong, hooray for me. And then you would go about your day. I think now that newspaper, only the most divisive bits of that newspaper, only the best memes, the greatest stuff gets shown, and it gets shown to you all throughout the day. And if you're using Facebook throughout the day and it's on tap, I really do think it can have a pretty extreme influence on you as an individual. I struggle to empathize with that because I have always seen Facebook as sort of a strange drug, and I haven't been addicted to it. It's just not my thing. But that being said, I could be the anomaly. So Facebook, in a statement, told the Wall Street Journal it had come a long way since then. Quote, we've learned a lot since 2016 and are not the same company today, the spokesperson said, but clearly Facebook hasn't learned enough, according to Kate. She does not like them. She writes, amid the rise of conspiracy theories and extremism in recent years, experts have had a strong and consistent message to social media platforms. You need to nip this in the bud. Instead, by promoting unsolicited group content into users' news feeds, Facebook has chosen to amplify the problem. If Facebook is somewhat auditing these groups for I'm not going to get this word out. Politicization? Not gonna get it out today. Not today word. Then I would argue that they are doing the right thing. So if Facebook is saying, hey, look, here are some groups you might be interested in, and they're removing the politics from those groups, I think they'd be heading in the right direction. I think that would be a really wise move for them. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the truth or not, and what they are pushing in terms of their groups and what they are not. So let's move on. The number Facebook won't say, this from Bloomberg.com by Sarah Freer. As you can tell, we tend to get articles from all over the spectrum in an attempt to find something resembling balance. Today is Instagram's 10th birthday. Reporters received an email with some celebratory statistics. There are 900 million daily emoji reactions on Instagram, and 50% of users watch a video each day. So Instagram's 10th birthday. Happy birthday, Instagram. But two numbers were conspicuously absent from the report. How many users does Instagram have, and how much revenue does it bring in for parent Facebook Incorporated? When I asked, Instagram declined to comment. Ooh, why would Instagram decline to comment? Is that they're afraid that the numbers are less than TikTok? Perhaps. Instagram's size is a high-stakes question right now as the company attracts heightened government scrutiny. We aren't getting transparency into a critical business line because of Facebook's antitrust strategy. So maybe there are too many people, and that is what's driving them to not share the number of Instagram users. In the coming days, Congress is expected to release results of a major monopoly probe into the biggest tech companies. The long-awaited report could include recommendations for legislation to break those companies up. Hello. That would be that'd be big news, because Facebook, Instagram, gigantic. YouTube, Google, under the umbrella of Alphabet, massive. So is it in the United States' best interest to break up those companies? That's a really good question. Facebook hasn't disclosed how many people use Instagram since 2018, 6 years after it bought the app, when the founders were still there and argued with CEO Mark Zuckerberg that 1 billion users was enough of a milestone to talk about. Facebook has never posted Instagram's unique revenue. Those sources have told Bloomberg it's the fastest growing part of Facebook's advertising business, contributing about 20 billion in 2019. So Instagram marketing absolutely going through the roof. In anticipation of the antitrust report, Facebook has been arguing against scrutiny of its Instagram acquisition. In a paper circulated last week, the company says regulators only care about the app's tremendous power. So what is the deal here? So we're talking about breaking up Instagram potentially, antitrust strategies, not sharing the actual data of the number of users for Instagram, because I think that if there is one thing more powerful than, a very, very large capitalistic enterprise, it would be the governments that govern it saying, you know what, you're too big, we're breaking you up. So strange times we live in. That's just on par for 2020. We haven't chatted about TikTok in a while. Figured we'd get a quick update. CNN.com, TikTok's U.S. ban is on hold. What comes next? Selena Wang with CNN Business is the author. TikTok averted a ban in the United States last week when a federal judge ruled that Washington couldn't block it from app stores just yet. The short-form video app is still accessible, but its fate in the country is far from certain. I've argued that we just have to wait for the election, which is not going to be decided on election night. The court ruling is only temporary and could be appealed by the U.S. government. The ruling could also eventually be thrown out. The judge only weighed in because TikTok challenged the ban and the company could lose its court case. To make things more confusing, TikTok's court case isn't the only thing governing the future of the app. So the owner, the Chinese owner, ByteDance, is racing to close a deal with the American firms Oracle and Walmart, which we've chatted about. I think it was 12.5% to Oracle, 7.5% to Walmart, if I remember correctly. that might be enough to satisfy the Trump administration's concerns about the app and stave off the pressure. So no news here as far as I can tell. So we will wait to see what's going to go on with the TikTok. There's a free webinar I figured I'd tell you about. This is from news.hamlethub.com. Again, all links to all articles are in the description. So if you're interested in a LinkedIn webinar on how to optimize your profile, the Brewster Chamber of Commerce is putting one on. I figured just throw that out there. There's a link right here. So just go to the news.hamlethub link in the description if you want to check that out. And then Forbes.com, 2 million creators make six-figure incomes on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch globally. I've mentioned quite a few times, if you have not gone to Twitch yet, if you have not enjoyed twitch.tv yet, you really should check it out. It's quite a culture. It's pretty amazing. Chess Bra, don't know if you know Chess Bra. It's a pretty good channel, pretty interesting stuff. It's a bunch of grandmasters in their 20s, usually drinking alcohol and playing chess at the highest of levels that I could not possibly attain if I were to spend every moment of my life from here forward on chess. Maybe I might reach their level. They're the 99.9 percentile of chess players in the world. And to see these grandmasters play against the best in the world, who are also obviously grandmasters, and lose is just mind-boggling. So there are currently over 50 million creators on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, and other social media platforms. 2 million of them are full-time, and they earn six-figure salaries by creating content daily or weekly. And that massive distributed content creation engine means that about 90% of the video, audio, photo, and text-based content consumed today by Gen Z is created by individuals and not corporations. So a huge shift in our culture. That's so funny. The next line, that's a massive cultural shift. Took the words right out of my mouth. These are just a few of the insights from a recent report on the creator economy by Huanling Huan, senior associate at Signal Fire, an investment firm. The number of those long-tail amateur influencer / creators is going to explode. I think by our data, this should grow from 50 million to a 100 million and possibly even larger. Juan told me in a recent Tech First podcast, a large amount of that growth is going to be driven by Gen Z. This whole ecosystem is growing fast, Juan says, thanks largely to Gen Z, which is extremely individualistic and cares more about owning their own personalities, not necessarily fitting in, and are much more likely to start side hustles. So this cultural shift here is a big, big, big deal. I keep telling small business owners that you really want to start a show, that you really want to get out there and do a live stream. You want to be producing consistent YouTube video content, because the worlds of small business ownership and entrepreneurship and this sort of cult of personality, constant sharing of social media, but not just sharing of social media, but literally you as the brand. These two worlds are coming to a head. There is an entire generation of people right now that are making six-figure incomes just working full-time on creating content. And that number has only grown rapidly. And to think that small business owners of that generation are not going to take those skills and apply them to their business is crazy. So 10, 15 years ago, you could get away with just writing a blog on your website. That was enough. And it still kind of gets you there. Google ads in a combination, it's fine. And then you obviously had to start posting on social media. And then YouTube became such a big deal. And now live streaming is so important. And next up, it'll be augmented reality. So the Snapchat sort of deal / Oculus, virtual reality is going to get big. Again, when we see the glasses that Google is inventing that sync to Bluetooth in your pocket and aren't bulky, you don't have to wear a phone on your head. That's going to be another major shift. And we're going to see more of that gentleman who broke the record for longest consecutive live stream. So the dude's like going to the grocery store, getting supplies on live stream. The whole thing's live. It's been live for hours and hours and hours, days and days. I want to say weeks even perhaps. So letting people into your life and owning a small business, very strange, is it not? So when I talk to marketers or small business owners and I say, hey, you really should consider YouTube and a live stream, and this sort of, it's like they've seen a snake, you know what I mean? There's a huge difference between like say 40 plus, 45 plus generation, and 25 and south of it. I mean, huge cultural differences. So I've made this argument for years, and I'll make it one last time. If you are older and you own a business, if you can think like a 23-year-old in terms of content production, you're going to be way ahead of the race, because most people in your demographic don't care about your YouTube videos. Not really. Like if you say something or there's some sort of gaffe. I mean, this is a live show, right? There's a million different things that I could say that would offend this, that, or the third person. So taking the risk is a big deal, and doing it consistently is a big deal. So again, if you're an entrepreneur and you're afraid of getting in front of the camera, I'm telling you, it's becoming less and less optional and more a requirement. So let's summarize. Before I do, join us for the live show, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Monday through Friday. We'd love to have you. We'd love to see and hear your comments. Thanks for hitting the like button and for the comments. We appreciate it. Facebook, Twitter, block Trump post. So they put their foot down. They said, look, Corona is not less deadly than the flu. That's misinformation. It's not going to happen. So it shouldn't matter who you are. If it's wrong, it's wrong. At the end of the day, I think what we're really arguing about here is how long it takes these platforms to respond. And so this took a few hours. If I respond correctly, yep, the post was up for hours. I think in the future it's going to be minutes and then seconds. Working mom's LinkedIn profile goes viral. Good for her. She basically said, hey, look, this is what I actually look like. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. Balancing work and school is insane. And so she wrote a blog post about it and went viral. Good for her. I think it's great. We've got groups disaster will only make it more toxic in regards to Facebook. I don't know. I'm torn on this because I do think that Facebook provides a pretty amazing free in quotes service, as long as you're not addicted to it, and as long as you realize that a lot of the stuff on the platform is not fact checked. You know what I'm saying? I just think people fall into this sort of chemical reaction vibe where they see something that they like, it affirms their beliefs, they think they're right, they see the other side is stupid and wrong, and it just continues, and Facebook profits from that. So that loop is horrifying. But like local soccer group, corgi group, people who like sriracha sauce group, who cares? It's only bad when it's bad. It's only toxic when you're part of this toxic culture. And there is a certain amount of individual responsibility that's really important to address here. I know, how dare you talk about individual responsibility, but the point I'm making is if you're on Facebook and you're spending too much time on Facebook, and you're going to Facebook for like a hit of some sort of weird chemical cocktail in your brain, then maybe you need to reconsider Facebook or delete it. Maybe it's not working for you, especially if you're going there and you're 100% positive that your site has got it right, and that you just constantly get reaffirmed in these beliefs. It can really go sideways. And note how I'm not saying either side is correct. What I'm saying is that it can be really bad for your personal health to get stuck in this sort of thing. And I do think Facebook has a responsibility to fix many of these problems, and I do think they profit off of it, much like a drug dealer profits off of you continuing to take the drug. I know it's somewhat difficult for us to see social media as a drug because we're not ingesting it, but in a way we are. We're taking those light beams, those photons, and they're hitting our retinas, and they are having a chemical effect on us. So be cognizant of your Facebook use, I think, is probably the best message I can give right now. And as I've said many times before, you can show me anecdotal evidence on Facebook of things that are insane and horrifying, and I will agree with you and stand by you in saying those are horrifying and awful and they should be taken down. That's not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm making is that striking the balance of allowing people to say what they want to say and striking down ridiculous and offensive content is not going away anytime soon. It's incredibly difficult to do, obviously. And I think Facebook wins sometimes, and I think they lose sometimes, as do the users. So apparently Facebook's not going to tell us how many Instagram users they are because they're terrified of getting sued. Well, I shouldn't even say sued, of getting broken up as being perceived as monopoly. So big news there. I mean, if there is any chance that Alphabet, which is Google, YouTube, or Facebook, Instagram, are going to get beat up by the government for being monopolies, that would be huge. TikTok, I'm arguing that we'll just have to wait for the election. This link right here, news.hamlethub.com, if you want a free webinar on this from this Brewster Chamber of Commerce on how to improve your LinkedIn profile. There's a link there, for the business owner folks. And last but not least, there are a lot of people making six-figure incomes. 2 million creators are making six-figure incomes on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch globally. Imagine if you were making six figures and you just decided to move to one of the lowest cost of living places on the globe. Because you could, as long as you've got good internet connection. You're like, yeah, I'm going to move to Colombia, make six figures, live in a mansion, and, just do my YouTube thing, do my Twitch thing. I mean, talk about freedom. Go wherever you want, do whatever you want. It's pretty incredible. So don't think that it's impossible for you to do it. A lot of people are making six-figure incomes, 2 million of them, on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, etc. So small business owners, entrepreneurs, it's a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show for today. Thanks so much for swinging on by. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the love. If you're listening to us on the podcast after the fact, we genuinely appreciate you. If you want to join us for the live show, again, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, all you got to do is punch in the name of the show, Marketing as a Foreign Language, into YouTube. You'll find us right there. And that's how you can sign up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see you all for the next episode tomorrow. Bye-bye.